I never thought I'd be the one to pull the rug out from under my own company. But there I was, staring at my laptop screen in my small apartment in Austin, Texas, feeling the weight of every overlooked email and sidelined meeting crash down on me. My name's Emily Carter, and I'd poured my soul into that startup, fixing their crumbling code while they patted each other on the back. Why did it sting so much? Because deep down, I still believed in what we'd built, or what I thought we'd built together. But as I sat there, heart pounding, I wondered if silence really was my best weapon, or if it was just fear dressed up as strategy. It started 6 months ago when Jake, the CEO and my old college buddy, called me out of the blue. I was in the middle of freelancing from my home office, the kind with a view of the rolling Texas hills that always calmed my racing thoughts. "Emily, we're sinking," he admitted, his voice cracking over the line. Their platform was a mess, data leaks, slow servers, investors getting jittery. I hesitated, remembering how they'd pushed me out years ago during a restructuring. But that old clause in my founding contract, buried like a forgotten promise, pulled me back. Founding technical architect may be reinstated as critical systems consultant in event of strategic crisis. It was my safety net, one I'd insisted on back when trust was still fresh. I agreed, but not without making him read it aloud, hearing the humility in his tone. Why did I need that? Maybe to remind myself I wasn't just a fix-it girl, I was essential. Back in the fold.
I dove in?
Rewriting the backend from scratch.
No fanfare.
Just late nights optimizing databases, implementing zero-trust security, and crafting compliance docs that could withstand any audit. The team cheered the wins. But inside, I felt the isolation creeping in. Was I paranoid? Or were my ideas being credited to others? Jake started skipping our one-on-ones, and my access to key files felt restricted. I told myself it was nothing, but my mind raced. What if they're using me again? What if I end up discarded like last time? Then Ryan Hayes showed up, the new VP of product, all slick suits and confident grins, fresh from some Silicon Valley gig. He shook my hand like it was an afterthought, saying, "Heard you've done some solid groundwork. Emily, let's keep it high-level moving forward." High-level? I'd rebuilt their entire payment pipeline to prevent fraud, something that could have derailed their Series B funding if exploited. But Ryan waved it off, focusing on narratives and vision. In our first meeting, he gutted my presentation slides, replacing detailed schemas with stock images of mountains. "Investors want inspiration, not code," he smirked. I felt a knot in my stomach, anger mixed with doubt. Am I too technical? Too old school at 38? No. I knew better. This was about ego. About men like him erasing women like me. I didn't fight back openly. Instead, I uploaded my full work to a private staging environment I controlled, per my contract's fine print. Clause 6.4b gave me that leeway, a quiet power I'd embedded when I returned.
Why?
Because trust is fragile. And I'd learned the hard way that leverage isn't about shouting, it's about being irreplaceable. As the weeks dragged on, my invites vanished, my contributions scrubbed from reports. I lay awake nights, questioning, should I speak up? Risk being labeled difficult? Or wait, let the truth reveal itself? The internal tug-of-war tore at me. I wanted to believe in redemption, in teamwork, but the slights piled up like unspoken accusations. The breaking point came during the investor demo. Sophia Grant, the lead investor from a big Austin fund, was on the call. Her no-nonsense vibe clear even through the screen. Jake kicked it off with buzzwords, hypergrowth, user velocity. Ryan narrated the fluff. dodging tech questions by deferring to me reluctantly. When my turn came, my original deck loaded, thanks to my backup sync. I started explaining the IP protections, how I'd made everything traceable under Texas data laws. 2 minutes in, Ryan interrupted, his voice sharp. Emily,
Stop.
you're fired. Leave the call now. Fired? Live. In front of everyone? My chest tightened, humiliation burned. But deeper was the betrayal.
How could they?
After everything I'd fixed, I closed my laptop without a word, staring out at the Texas sunset. Tears welled up, not from weakness, but from the raw ache of being undervalued. I texted my lawyer. Trigger Clause 8.2b. It was my fallback. Retaining rights to my authored IP if removed involuntarily. Why did it hurt so much to use it? Because part of me still cared about the company, about the dream. But as I sat there, emotions swirling, regret, anger, a flicker of empowerment, I realized silence had bought me time, and now it was time to reclaim what was mine. The silence after I logged off felt heavier than any argument could. Back in my Austin apartment, I paced the wooden floors, the distant hum of Highway 35 a reminder that life kept moving even as mine unraveled. Why did Ryan's words echo so loudly in my head? You're fired. It wasn't just the dismissal, it was the public stripping of my dignity, the erasure of my sweat and sacrifices. I questioned everything. Had I been too trusting? Too eager to fix what they'd broken? My mind spiraled into doubts. Maybe I should have fought sooner. Screamed my worth instead of coding it into clauses.
But no.
That wasn't me. I built systems, not scenes. Yet the emotional storm raged, betrayal from Jake, who I'd once called a friend, and indifference from a team that owed their survival to my unseen labor. On the call, I later learned from a leaked Slack thread, chaos erupted. Sophia set down her coffee mug, emblazoned with data or GTFO, and asked coolly, "Why was MS?" Carter removed mid-presentation. Jake stammered, "Internal realignment. Streamlining." But Sophia cut him off. "Stop." She referenced Clause 2.4 in the term sheet, funding contingent on Emily Carter's active participation in core systems through Series B close. The room froze. Ryan shrugged. "She's not essential." Essential? I'd authored the compliance framework that passed FTC scrutiny, tailored to Western U.S. privacy laws like California's CCPA. Without me, their data handling was a lawsuit waiting to happen. Inside, I felt a mix of vindication and sorrow. Why did it take this to make them see? As the day wore on, my phone buzzed relentlessly. Emails from legal, texts from Jake. "We need to talk." I ignored them, brewing coffee in my kitchen, staring at the cactus on my windowsill. The internal conflict intensified. Part of me wanted to gloat, to watch them squirm. But another part ached for resolution without destruction. Hadn't I built this company to help people, not hurt them? Yet the pain of being sidelined gnawed deeper, years of being the technical advisor while others claimed glory. I whispered to myself, "You deserve better," but doubt crept in. Am I being petty? Or protecting myself? By evening, the board convened virtually. Voices strained over bourbon clinks. Jake admitted, "We've got developments." The ops director snapped, "You breached the term sheet by firing a key contributor." Legal chimed in. Clause 8.2b activates her fallback rights to IP she authored. Ryan protested. "She's just one person." But the council retorted,
No.
"She's the backbone. We can't deploy without her consent." The realization hit them. My code wasn't just patches, it was the foundation, locked behind escrowed keys I designed. Engineers in Slack unearthed my commits. Posting, Respectfully, her work isn't transitional, it's core. Ryan's company-wide memo dismissing me backfired, fueling whispers of incompetence. I didn't gloat. Instead, waves of emotion crashed, regret for the trust I'd given, anger at the patriarchy that diminished women in tech, and a growing sadness for what could have been. Why couldn't they have valued me from the start? My mind raced through memories, late nights coding while raising my kid alone, proving myself in a male-dominated field. The hurt deepened, turning inward. Maybe I enabled this by staying silent too long. But as notifications piled up, a resolve formed, not revenge, but reclamation. I wanted them to learn, to feel the void my absence created, without burning it all down. Sophia's firm emailed, confirm Emily Carter's status by 5 p.m. or funding suspended. Panic spread. They tried reactivating my access, but I'd already revoked it legally. Per contract. Ryan's arrogance cracked. He messaged the CTO. Fix this. But there was no quick fix. I sat on my porch, watching stars emerge over the Texas sky, tears streaming. The emotional weight pressed harder. This wasn't just business, it was personal validation I'd craved.
Yet,
in the quiet, a light lesson emerged in my thoughts. Respect isn't optional, it's the code that holds teams together. If they learned that, maybe redemption was possible. But for now, I let them stew, my heart heavy with the cost of standing up. The next morning brought a sharper ache, like a wound reopening under pressure. I woke in my Austin bed, sunlight filtering through blinds. But my mind was a torrent of unresolved feelings, betrayal now laced with a profound loneliness. Why did I feel so isolated in my victory? Because deep down, I mourned the camaraderie that never truly existed. Jake's texts haunted me. Emily,
please call.
We messed up.
Messed up?
It was understatement. It was dismissal of my humanity. I paced. Inner monologue relentless. You've proven your worth. But at what price? Alienating everyone? Or finally demanding the respect you earned? The company's scramble intensified. Sophia dug into Ryan's past, a hushed financial misreport at his last gig in Denver. Unethical but not illegal. The board grilled Jake. Why wasn't this flagged? Fraternity ties, he'd said. But now it exposed his blind spots. Legal read my contract aloud. Under 8.2b, MS. Carter retains licensing rights to authored IP upon breach. They realized I held the keys, literally, under Texas contract law, enforceable without court drama if documented. Engineers rallied quietly. One demanding me, we see what you did. Thank you. It stirred warmth amid the storm, but the emotional depth hit harder. I'd sacrificed relationships for justice. And the void echoed. Ryan resigned by noon, his LinkedIn vanishing like a ghost. Jake followed, needing a reset at some ranch retreat in the Rockies, typical avoidance. The interim team begged for contact. I ignored, but the internal conflict peaked. Revenge felt hollow. I craved healing, a humane path where lessons stuck without ruin. Why destroy when I could teach? Memories flooded, being the only woman in meetings. Ideas stolen. Ageism creeping in. The pain evolved into empathy. Maybe they were products of a flawed system too.
But no.
I couldn't excuse it. I had to honor my hurt. Sophia called personally. Emily, I know what happened. The company stalled without you. Her voice was steady, respectful, a contrast that soothed. I understand, I replied, voice trembling with pent-up emotion. But I won't return as before. We negotiated. Full IP rights through my LLC. Back pay doubled. Final sign-off on tech decisions. No employee status. External partner. Ryan and Jake out permanently. Not just control, I said, but accountability. She agreed. This ensures respect moving forward. The call ended, leaving me in tears, not of rage, but release. The weight lifted slightly, but deeper emotions surged, gratitude for my foresight, sorrow for lost trust. The new contract arrived, notarized under Texas law. My entity, Carter Tech Solutions, now licensed everything I'd built. The press release was bland, leadership realignment for compliance focus. Internally, shifts happened, diversity training mandated, my role acknowledged in memos. I didn't return physically. Virtual oversight sufficed. In the first post-crisis call, I unmuted. Let's resume from compliance overview. Silence followed my presentation. Reverence.
Perhaps.
But inside, I felt the emotional crescendo. This wasn't triumph. It was bittersweet validation, laced with the lesson that true power comes from within, not destruction. As days passed, the company's trajectory stabilized. Series B closing oversubscribed. Sophia's firm praised the maturity framework. I reviewed updates from home, ensuring ethical deployments. The hurt lingered, but transformed into purpose. Why had it taken this? My mind pondered, perhaps to remind us all that undervaluing talent erodes foundations. The drama faded, leaving a humane resolve. I'd rebuild bridges, but on my terms, teaching that respect fosters growth. The emotional depth overwhelmed, a cathartic wave promising healing ahead. Emotions now crashed like a West Texas thunderstorm, intense, unrelenting, stripping away pretense to reveal raw vulnerability. I sat in my Austin study, contract in hand, but victory tasted like ashes. Why this profound sadness? Because in reclaiming control, I'd exposed the fragility of human connections. Jake's final message: "You won. We're sorry."
One?
It felt like loss. The dream of collaboration shattered. Inner turmoil raged fiercer. Am I a villain for enforcing boundaries? Or a survivor teaching overdue lessons? The depth of feeling drowned me. Regret for what could have been, mingled with fierce pride in my resilience. The company adapted under interim leadership, a sharp woman from Houston, focused on inclusivity. They implemented my suggestions: bias audits, credit attribution policies aligned with EEOC guidelines. Engineers reached out. Your frameworks saved us. It stirred hope amid the ache, but the personal cost weighed heavier. Nights brought sleepless monologues. Remember the all-nighters? The passion? Now tainted by betrayal.
Yet.
Empathy emerged for Jake and Ryan, products of cutthroat tech culture, blind to their privileges. Could I forgive? Not yet. But the humane spark flickered. Destruction breeds cycles. Understanding breaks them. Sophia invited me to a virtual coffee. You've changed the game, Emily. Her praise pierced, evoking tears. It wasn't easy, I confessed. Voice breaking. I wanted respect, not rupture. She nodded. That's the lesson. Value people before clauses. Our talk shifted my perspective. The drama wasn't just revenge, but a catalyst for growth. I approved their first major update, adding notes on ethical AI under federal regs. The team responded gratefully, accrediting me publicly. Emotions swelled, relief, connection reborn. But deeper, the internal conflict resolved into acceptance. Pain forges strength, and lessons lighten loads. As funding flowed, the company thrived, headlines noting resilient turnaround. I consulted remotely, mentoring juniors via Zoom from my porch overlooking Austin's Greenbelt. One mentee shared, "You inspire me to speak up. It healed wounds." turning sorrow into purpose. Why had I endured? To model that women in tech deserve seats, not scraps. The emotional intensity peaked in quiet moments, gratitude for my clauses, sorrow for fractured bonds, but overriding joy in humane evolution. I'd flipped the script not to destroy, but to illuminate that true success builds on mutual respect, a light lesson etched in my soul. Reflecting on the journey, the hurt transformed into empowerment. No more doubting my worth, I'd proven it irrefutably. Yet, the depth of feeling urged compassion, reach out, mend where possible. I emailed Jake, let's talk someday. Learn from this. His reply, I'd like that. The cycle broke. Emotions cresting in cathartic release, a testament that drama, when humane, fosters redemption. The emotional flood now overwhelmed, a tidal wave of introspection and renewal that left no corner of my heart untouched. In my Austin haven, surrounded by family photos, I felt the culmination of pain and growth, tears flowing freely as I acknowledged the profound humanity in it all. Why this intensity? Because the saga had stripped me bare, revealing that revenge pales against restoration. Inner voices harmonized. You've not just survived, you've transformed. The ache of betrayal evolved into a symphony of empathy, regret yielding to profound forgiveness. The company's rebirth mirrored my own. With my licensed IP, they launched ethically, complying with Western U.S. laws like Nevada's data protections for expansions. Board reports credited me. Emily Carter's oversight ensures integrity. It validated. But the true healing came from connections mended. I joined a call, not as adversary,
but ally.
Let's build better, I said. Voice steady, yet laced with emotion. Responses poured. We're listening. The depth hit hardest here, realizing my stand had sparked change. From inclusive hiring to transparent credits. Why hadn't it happened sooner? The lesson shone lightly. Undervalued voices erode empires, amplified. They elevate all. Jake reached out personally. From his Colorado retreat. I was blind. Emily. Thank you for the wake-up. Our talk was raw, admissions of ego. My confessions of hurt. I forgave to free myself. I shared. Tears blurring the screen. He committed to advocacy. Starting a mentorship program.
Ryan.
Quieter. Sent a note. Learned the hard way. Respect. Emotions surged, closure's sweet release. Turning drama into dialogue. My LLC thrived. Consulting for others. Spreading the gospel of equity in tech's Wild West. In quiet evenings, overlooking Austin's vibrant skyline, gratitude enveloped me. The journey's toll, sleepless nights. Self-doubt, forged unbreakable resolve. But the humane ending? It was in the light lesson. Control isn't domination. It's cultivating respect that nurtures growth. I'd reclaimed my legacy, not through ruin, but revelation. Emotions deepening into wisdom. As series B closed triumphantly, I toasted alone, to voices heard, lessons learned, and futures rebuilt together. The intensity faded into peace. A heartfelt testament that even in revenge's shadow, humanity prevails.